I'm Jack Bomaster, and you're watching Utefans.net.
Hey, you fans, you're watching another great edition of The Extra Point, brought to you by Harmon's Grocery and presented by Utefans.net, the original home for Ute fans. I'm joined by Sugar Bowl star Robert Johnson, Rojo, MVP of the Freedom Bowl, Cal Beck, and current player Bryson Reeves. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing great. Merry Christmas, y'all.
Yeah.
So we love Harmon's, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to film here this evening. I think they have the best clam chowder this side of the Wasatch Front. They've got a heck of a salad bar. Cal, I know you love Harmon's. What do you think of this store?
Harmon's is a step above the rest. And if you're really interested in getting your party supplies for this weekend, you got to check out their Seafood Frenzy, which is going on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So let's jump right into it. We're here to talk about the Las Vegas Bowl. Utah matched up with Northwestern, and it didn't go very well.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we're going to have to.
All right,
That's why we're here.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
The quarterback play was lacking. The play by the Utes in general was uninspired. And credit to Northwestern, they played a great game, and they deserved to win. They seemed like they really wanted it. What did you guys think of the performance by the Utes in the Vegas Bowl?
Definitely being there and being on the sideline. It was at the beginning, defense on the field, it was definitely a very, very defensive-heavy game. The same way most games in the season, all the energy is brought by the defense, no matter whether they're sideline guys or starting guys, all the energy brought by the defense. And up until their their goal line stand on 4 plays, and they didn't let them score. After that, we kind of felt like we had the momentum, we had everything, and we could just never keep it. Whenever we got energy, we got that little spark feeling, it was something would go, and it would just dissipate.
And what kills momentum faster than anything else? Turnovers.
Yeah.
2 of them in particular.
And going into that game, I felt like the defense kept us in, but on top of the defense keeping us in, it was like the fourth quarter come around, we did our salute to our fallen soldiers, and we turn around, score, and I'm like, okay, momentum, we got it. It's about to kick in. We just scored. The defense stopped them. We're getting it going, and then it just went completely flat again. So you learn quick that momentum is very big in NCAA football.
My younger brother said it perfectly. He said watching that game was as confusing as my facial hair. We were thick in some places, thin in others, and it just didn't make sense in the end. To the point where we are questioning players' motivation. We're questioning what did they eat before the game. We're questioning who's got points on the spread. Like, we were grasping an answer for what we watched unfold in front of us.
Bryson, what was the atmosphere like down in Vegas? You were down there with the team. What do you think was going on? How do you think the players were feeling about the game?
Going into it, it was definitely one of those games where we definitely had higher hopes for the season than kind of how it unfolded. And I think as the season progressed and nobody came back from injury like we thought they were going to, that became more of a definite reality. And I think as it set in, people were very, very excited to play and excited to go and be done, kind of flush the season down to start the next one, get ready for the Big 12, get ready for that next thing. So it was the same atmosphere we always had. It was intense, it was happy, it was a good atmosphere we had, but I think it was just not our storybook year. Northwestern, they had all their controversy that went down. Their coach got fired, and nobody cared about that.
At the beginning of the season. Like, that was before even the first game. Yeah. They went through all of their trials and tribulations.
And it was right before the first game, right before camp, all the turnover, and a lot of players stayed. They were able to run through it, and, it was their storybook year is how it turned out to be. They got the storybook ending on the year, and that's kind of how the atmosphere felt.
Yeah, Northwestern's like Stanford, which I know you don't like to give much respect to, but we...
Hey, I'm sensitive about that, man.
But Stanford and Northwestern are smart universities. It's like playing the military academies. They're never going to quit, and they know their playbook. And so, look at what happened last time we played Northwestern in the bowl.
Yeah,
it didn't go very well. I was at that game.
It did not go very well, and it was sad to watch play out. We were ready to watch the season move on, and there's a lot of questions in the air now
Mm-hmm.
if it is the true end of the season.
This is something we absolutely have to talk about. Something comes to mind. We got to watch Coach Witt's presser immediately following the Oregon game where we lost 35-6. We got pummeled by those guys. That's a great Oregon team, by the way. And he just said, we've got injuries, but that's not really an excuse. You play with the players that you have. Now, when you factor in this bowl game, you got guys going to the NFL, transfer portal, injuries. How do you guys think that affected this game?
I don't think it affected it too much, especially on the defensive side, because, in reality, it was a very similar team to what we had most of the season. We definitely played games with those 22 guys on the field. Like, if we were missing Vele, but he was hurt for a couple. We couldn't use him to his full ability. We were missing Mikey Matthews, and that was probably the biggest offensive deficit that we didn't have that we've had all season long was Mikey, because he was just a reliable receiver who can get open in space and make something happen when nothing's happening and bail Bryson out of a bad situation. We didn't have that. We had, our running back came back, Kai Bernard, and they didn't use him like they used Mikey, get in open space and let him do what he normally does.
And the 51 run plays versus how many limited pass was a very big surprise.
That was big, yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And, everyone's been mentioning that, and for me, I semi-understand it, because when the first quarter throw game goes how it did, I wouldn't have much confidence going back to it either. But the fact that nothing changed up at halftime, at halftime we were all, it was an intense environment. We wanted to win the game.
See, and then for me, I felt like it was an impact. I mean, nothing against what you just said is very right. It's all the way right. But I felt like it was big because our players on defense are playmakers. They wasn't in the game. The playmakers, which is the turnovers, the strip fumbles, the scores, all that. One of the main persons that y'all know I love, Coach Bishop, he wasn't there. And the defense played really, really well. They played really well and nothing against them. But turnovers and impact plays changes games, especially in bowl games. And I know about that because I'm big on making impact plays during bowl games.
We definitely held them under our scoring average.
Yes, we
defensively.
did.
I mean, defense showed up. But there is something to be said for the two starting safeties that were absent, starting wide receiver, 2 offensive linemen, and a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, yes, next man up. But at what point is it still the original boat if you've been rebuilding it piece by piece?
Yeah.
And, I think that's just the biggest issue. We haven't had our original boat. Like we've had our defenses.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, we haven't. So it's been kind of a jigsaw puzzle where you're cutting pieces to make them fit, hoping it works out. And it didn't play out well in the bowl game. We pieced together a pretty good season for what it was. The seven wins at the end of the season. We pieced together a good season that I don't think many people thought after the first 2 Pac-12 games was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But we pieced together a good season, and in the end, I don't think the glue holding the jigsaw puzzle was able to stay up in the slightest. It was just the erosion of the transfers, the erosion of the injuries not coming back, the injured players not taking that same position that they would have if they were playing, inspiring the team, helping people out. So we pieced together a really great season. And sorry for that.
Oh, you're good.
You're on point.
That was great. I think
Absolutely
you're
on point
there, man. You want to say something else? I think what hurts is we were 0-3 in the turnover margin. You're not going to win many games when that is what happens. We had the 2 picks by Bryson. Jalen Glover got stripped. You can't win many football games when you have 3 turnovers like that, and the other team doesn't have any. My question is, Bryson Barnes, he's a Milford kid. He's from a small town. Grew up rooting for the Utes. He got to start for him. It's a Hollywood story. There's a lot of elements of his story that are pretty amazing. And, he throws for 320 yards against Arizona, and he throws for 55 against Northwestern. The quarterback play was lacking. That was probably the most glaring defect of the game. What do you guys think about that?
First thing that pops into mind is lingering injury.
For Bryson?
Yeah. Was it not exposed? Was it not talked about? I mean, because he is entering the portal, and you don't want to promote damaged goods. So that's because he played uncharacteristically. And I've learned in politics and in sports, you blame processes, not people, or else it drive you crazy. So I'm not looking to blame Bryson specifically. I'm looking to see maybe it was the process. Maybe there was a hiccup in his prep. Maybe he was injured. Maybe that lingering injury in his ribs is a problem still.
Oregon State.
Yeah, we never know. But there's more than reason to just him having the worst game possible at the most inopportune time, in my opinion, the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and for me, the way I was looking at it from, because I was there at the game, I was watching the game, I was there, and I seen it from a top view, like of seeing the play develop from my view, and it was a lot of play calling. I love Andy Reid. Andy Reid. I love Andy Ludwig. That's he was my offensive coordinator when I was playing. But it seemed like a lot of the plays that was being ran was not calculated plays from what I felt like, especially in the passing game. It was either the play calling wasn't as strong, or maybe it was a lingering injury, because it was a few times that I seen Bryson roll out, and it was just like, okay, he got his first read, but he's not getting to his second read. He's stuck on his first read, and it just seemed like the play fall apart, and I couldn't understand it. And looking at it from the top, I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't grasp what was happening, because I'm so used to him playing pretty good, and he's a triple threat quarterback. So looking at it from like my view of the top view, I'm just like, what is this play call? Like, I don't understand it. But then I also don't understand his decision making as well. So it went both ways. Like, he's a great quarterback. He's going to be great. He already has done some great, amazing things. But that game was not the best game to put on when you're in the transfer portal and you're looking for a new home.
Well, we're missing some NFL guys on the offensive line too, most notably Keaton Bills. That had to have something to do with it. I mean, we have to be able to talk about that, right?
Yeah. Well, as a coach, you make the plan to the player, like you just mentioned, Cal, is that sometimes it's not the player, it's the process. So, you make those adjustments during the week of practice, where who's not playing. So then you make adjustments to strengthen whatever the strength that's on the offensive lineman. You make it work that way. It might be plays that you can't run, but it might be plays that you can run. But that takes that week of practice to really develop what is it that can work. And it just didn't seem like the offensive play calling was as strong from my opinion.
And we only see the player side. And I'm not bagging or questioning the coaches, because I love the culture. And I played for a lot of the coaches up there. I grew up idolizing a lot of them as well. But maybe there was mismanagement in the quarterback position.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe in the reps and the preparation. I don't know, but I'm not one to say that coaches are infallible.
Bryson, what do you think?
Hey, as you guys know, the biggest thing to get you on the field is trust. Like, that is, if you have your coach's trust, you will get on the field. No matter how good of a player you are, if you don't have no trust, you're not going to play. And I think that was one of the biggest things that went into this game, was everybody's trust and everybody wavered.
So yeah,
and that was, the Bryson's trust in the O-line, the coach's trust in the players, the coach's trust in the other coaches to coach the players we got instead of doing whatever. And that was, I think, the biggest thing, is because, look, Utah has high standards, and you guys all know that. And really, really high standards.
That's why we love it.
And that's why we win.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Bryson.
Oregon State doesn't have Pac-12 championships.
We play big boy football.
We play big boy football, and I think that trust factor needs to go deeper down, instead of just building trust with guys you trust, guys the starters, mid starters, guys you've known for years. Building down trust and doing more things to let younger guys gain real trust. So when they get that situation where, okay, now a Holiday Bowl or the Las Vegas Bowl is just a spring game, I trust you to play. Let's go call plays.
So in that aspect of the trust, you're saying that they need to go more breadth with the trust on the roster versus depth with specific handful of players.
Yeah, so that's
spread the love.
That's spread the love, and that's exactly it. And I think that's going to be their biggest thing with recruiting and all this new coming out and transfer portal, is the love at Utah is real. It's there. Is a lot of it. We got to get people using it, motivating it, and like you said, back to that brotherhood where loyalty and trust was real, because that part's wavering, and we have that momentum after our Aaron and Ty video.
Yeah,
Because we all remember that brotherhood we felt the first year we won the pack.
100% correct.
Because
Yeah.
that was crazy. It felt different than any of these last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real brotherhood loyalty year. No one was leaving.
Does the transfer portal put a price on the trust that we're saying is necessary in the locker room? Is there an underlying issue of the trust with the transfer portal lingering, knowing that the guy that's sitting next to you in the locker room may not be there after the bowl game?
Well, yeah, to that, I don't know if it goes to trust towards that. Yes, there is. Yes. There's no other way.
To answer your question,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. But think about this, the way that Coach Witt kind of go about this is that trust the process. That's one of our slogans that we use, trust the process. And if you saying that some of the players are kind of weavering in and out, that process gets destroyed.
You count your pennies, your dollars will count themselves. If you take care of the trust that you can give, you'll receive that back.
And this is not only for Utah, but because we all know it, so I'm using an example. It's all of college football. Those slogans don't ring true anymore.
No, they don't.
You can't say we're a school about the athlete if they make us money.
Yeah.
Play like a champion today, or transfer.
Or transfer. Yeah, really.
That's the reality. My bad. That's the reality of it, where if you are not that echelon of player where play like a champion, be a champion, and start for us today, it might as well just go. Because we'll over-recruit you from somebody who was playing like a champion last year.
Yep.
So we've got some more stuff to talk about. We're going to cut this segment. We'll be right back.
It's a community coming together to support University of Utah student athletes. It's our town. It's our team.
Crimson Collective, I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Crimson Collective, our town, our team.
Welcome back to the show, Ute fans. I'm joined by Robert Johnson, Cal Beck, Bryson Reeves. We've got a lot to talk about. Thanks for watching. Brandon Rose, he's been in the program 2 years, Bryson. A lot of fans are wondering why he didn't get the nod to at least come in during the Vegas Bowl. What do you think happened there?
I think we all wanted to see him get tested. But out of the quarterbacks we have in that room, Cam included, a lot of us feel like B. Rose has the potential, if he stays healthy, to have the longest NFL career of an actual developed career of any of them, just because the way he can naturally sling the ball, it comes off very natural. So him staying healthy, because in my opinion, Utah wants him to play for us. He will be a great quarterback for us if he stays and they treat him right. So we all think he should have got his nod in the bowl game, but he's going to be a phenomenal athlete, and I think the coaches make him feel that and made him feel that, and they just wanted to keep him healthy. So I think he was ready to play, just not ready to risk the injury for the career.
Okay. And
a lot of players make that decision when it comes to the bowl game.
yeah, that's a lot of what we're talking about here.
And it wasn't his decision, because if it was, he would have played.
Okay.
And he started warming up on the sideline to his own accord. Whittingham came out and said, we did not send him to go warm up. What you saw was him warming up, trying to tell us, put me in. They weren't going to do that.
So, Rojo, I got a question for you. You played on what I think a lot of people consider is the best Utah football team of all time. You agree with that, obviously. Over 04. The question I have for you is, could that 2008 team had been as successful if the transfer portal and NIL were a factor?
I say yes. I still say yes. It just will be more conversations. Like we was mentioning off air, is that the way that we operated in our 08 team, we operated with trust of each other. Like, we really didn't need the coaches to even be out there on the field during practice, because we understood what we was going for. We was basically playing for each other. And if it was ever a point where some of those NIL deals, a lot of money being thrown around, let's just example of like $1 million being thrown around to one of the players, I'm about 100% sure that we would talk to each other about it. Like, not saying that it would be a yes, that they will go, and not saying it would be a no, they're going to stay, but it will be a really deep conversation. And these are the same conversations that we had as soon as we beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl when it came to Paul Cougar and Sean Smith. The outside world didn't know that we had a team meeting, a defensive meeting, talking about what would be the next step. about like, well, if I go, this is where my status is. If you leave, how would this go? If you stay, how would this go? But that's how much trust that we had among each other, that we can talk to each other about some of these deep conversations. And I believe in my heart that these NIL deals would have came apart, and they would have came up, but we still would have talked about them among each other. Just like we don't need no coaches or anybody. Let's just talk about it and see the type of impact that it will make for the team as well as the family and the brotherhood that we stood by.
So the difference is just the trust level. You think it's much different now.
Yes, I say that.
What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, the coaches built that culture for us, but then we also understood that we had to look out for each other. It was 11 on 11, no matter what. And like currently with Asiata, his son Ephraim is going to the team down south. He put that in our group chat, and we all supported him because we all cared about him and we all love him enough to know that the team down south is a team that we don't like. But but at the end of the day, we understood that family means everything. So if that was to switch up into some money situation, we would probably all have that conversation among how does this affect us and how would it affect you and put you in a good position to be successful in life.
And I just wonder what you guys think. I mean, NIL is very new. It's the Wild West. I mean, it's continually changing. The transfer portal is a new thing. Obviously, Robert's commenting on how that affects trust levels between teammates. What do you guys think as far as Utah is concerned moving forward with NIL being in the picture and the transfer portal? How do we stay successful and play our ball?
This is the redheaded stepchild. No offense to redheads or stepchildren that nobody wants to talk about in football community. This is tearing apart the palatable game of football that we grew up loving and watching. It's becoming distasteful to a lot of people, and it's money behind the driving force. It doesn't matter what side of the fence that you sit on. Everybody has their price. And I'd love to hear you say that the second best Utah football team in history would have that type of a meeting and discuss that money. But I guarantee the best team, 94, could come up with enough NIL money to have you transport back in time to play with us, because everything has its price. For us to sit here and say that people are not going to take an opportunity for life-changing money for their family legacy, to help out how many immediate people in their family, is short-sighted. And unfortunately, football has become a money-driven game. That's why the expansion of the playoffs is happening next year. That's why you had the New York 6 bowl games. It was to attract the most viewership and generate the most amount of dollars that ends up going back into those universities. NIL has made college football pro football with free agency.
But what happens when NIL becomes scholarships?
It already has.
It already has, yeah,
But
pretty much.
until they're not paying for your school anymore.
So
you are now having to put your tuition in with your NIL money that they're paying you. Like, why would we pay for school? You could afford school.
That's another topic. That's a good one.
People wouldn't. I don't think people would take give NIL as much credit, because it loses the sight that we're student athletes.
But if there's anybody that's going to give you $500,000, which is what the street rumor is that a player in the transfer portal is going for, $500,000. How many degrees can you buy with that money?
Yeah, but
and
then
how many different universities? College education, when we got a scholarship, it meant something. A 4-year degree was what we were trying to obtain from an established, accredited academic university, which is what the Pac-12 was. It was a conglomerate of research institutions that if you graduated from, the degree meant something. NIL has made all these degrees money-based. It doesn't matter where you go to school, as long as you're getting on the field to make that money and hopefully get your shot at a career. There's very few student athletes in football, I'm not saying all sports, that are motivated now by the student side of the business student athlete equation. It's a zero-sum game for them. If they're not making the money now, they can't see the money that they might make off that degree by staying at a prestigious university. And it boils down to, what are they going to have 5 years from now versus 10 years from now and 15 years from now? And if you dangle enough money in front of anybody, it's going to come down to their principles. And we're seeing a lot of kids going to college now with no sense of principle or loyalty, as we are putting it. It's actually a lack of persistence and perseverance, because now they're afraid to not start.
See, but the one thing I was making sure that I wanted to get it clear was that I wouldn't say that my 08 players would take it or not take it, But the loyalty that we have among each
You
other
would have
as
that
brothers,
discussion. It's a
we will-
family thing.
It's a family thing, yep, and we'll talk about it. We'll have a little talk about it.
And that's what we said on the last segment of, is that in the back of your mind when you're looking in the locker room prepping for a bowl game, that trust thing?
When you're prepping for the season, I think is the bigger one than prepping for the bowl game. If you're prepping for the season, are we really riding the season now? Like, are we going to do this and try to make a run in the legacy here? Or is it just a one and done type of thing? Like, you go, I trust you to do the best for yourself. That's it.
And you never know what your roster is going to look like. I mean, you look at the bowl games that are happening this week, you don't know who's going to announce for the transfer portal. Look at how many teams are playing on New York 6. Their starting quarterback for Florida State's not playing. They have like 15 players on Florida State not playing because they're not playing for a national championship. Have bowl games now become the new spring ball scrimmage where you see all the redshirt freshmen and players that didn't play in the season actually get on the field?
Excellent points. I think we've got more to talk about, but we'll be right back.
Hey, Ute fans. Cal Beck, the Rocket from Utefans.net, here to wish you the happiest conclusion to your holidays. I'm assuming that you're going to be ringing in the new year with a big party with family and friends. Well, if you need seafood, you need to go to Harmon's. Harmon's is doing their annual seafood frenzy this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. You can find a wide variety of shrimp, scallops, king crab, and other seafood delights you just may need to try. With free samples and recipe coaches available for you, Harmon's is the place to end 2023 and welcome in 2024.
Welcome back, Ute fans, to our final segment. So we wanted to talk about, after the year that the Utah football teams had, and especially this last game, how do you restore morale in the locker room? Robert.
To me, it's one of those that your seniors graduate, so you have your sophomores, your juniors, they all move up a level. Then you got freshmen coming in. So the goal that University of Utah will have is to make sure that the sophomore that's becoming a junior and the junior that's becoming the senior is able to just keep that same culture that that we've been pushing every year. So you just got to hope for the best that they can express it to the freshmen coming in.
Is the proof in the pudding, or are we a flash in the pan? Only time will tell, and the players are the actual ones that drive the culture. The coaches suggest it, but the players are the ones that drive it and cultivate it, and this is one of the fun things of the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to find out how it translates to the Big 12 and just that new culture, new opponents. I think it's going to be one that we're going to have to shift a little bit, but when we do, we'll come out speeding.
So this is our last podcast of the season. We've had a heck of a time. It's been really fun having you guys. I've enjoyed getting to know you better.
I will miss the Pac-12, but not the Pac-12 refs.
We won't miss the Pac-12 refs. But we wanted to talk about some of the other sports. We're, a football podcast, but we love our running Utes. Brandon Carlson.
We're a Utesfan.net podcast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those running Utes. What's up with the men?
They're looking pretty good. They got a game against Wazoo tomorrow night at 6:30.
Yeah. And Brandon Carlson, he came to one of my classes as me coaching the career coaching, and I'm like helping students with their resumes and job shadowing. He came to one of my classes just to try to learn some stuff, which was very impressive. And like for me, he sees himself as a full-time student athlete, but he also sees himself as, when sports in, what should I do? So it was really nice to kind of talk to him.
And that must be trickling in the locker room because the boys are experiencing, the running Utes men are experiencing a surge of success. Yes. They took down our rivals, the blue team down south in the special events, the Huntsman Center, and they start Pac-12 season open play, like you said, with Wazoo. There's a lot of hope. These kids are scrappy. They seem to be overachievers so far in the media eye, but it's going to be fun to see how far they can take this.
It's going to be really fun to see because not only men's basketball, but women's basketball are both doing crazy things. Like I saw a stat, we're leading the whole Pac-12 first in every scoring and defensive category for women's basketball. And I think men just try to follow suit because, last year we had, I think, 9 programs win the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to continue to follow into this year.
I want to say the women are 6th in the country in field goal percentage, and Elisa Peely is leading the country in 3-point percentage and is 4th in the country in field goal percentage.
She a beast.
Our former guest, Elisa Pili, is going to be a top draft choice in the WNBA and another consensus All-American.
Well
She
deserved.
continues on this path. And McQueen, our other special guest that we have, is getting it done on the arc. The women are experiencing some extreme issue, not extreme, but long issues of injury in the guard
Gianna
position.
Napkins.
Yes, in
Best
the guard
of luck to her,
position.
of course.
But Pac-12's play starts this week, and they are excited to be in the position they are to take the conference by storm.
And Alyssa Peely, we want you on our show.
Come back.
Yeah, please come back. We think you're awesome. Same with Kennedy McQueen or many of the other women's basketball players. It's been really fun. Special thanks to our viewers and our listeners for supporting us. Special thanks to Harmon. Special thanks to all you guys on the show.
The Red Rocks.
This is the end of our show. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Music.
Check out the Red Rocks.
And
Yeah,
my
Red
gosh,
Rocks.
how could I
Yeah.
forget?
Check out the Red
Check
Rocks.
out the Red Rocks.
And defending Pac-12 champions softball and
Softball.
baseball.
Yep. Oh, baseball doing
And
pretty
baseball.
good too. Yeah.
And now that the winter's here, believe me, I will not be joining. But check out the ski and snowboard programs.
They're always
They're
good.
top of the country.
Are we not defending national champions in ski?
And ski, we are.
Yes, we are.
And I just have to say, I forgot one other thing that I think has to be said is Jaquindon Jackson's been in our program a few times. He's a stud. We loved having him as a running back for the Utes and a quarterback. We wish you well on the next phase of your journey. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more podcasts soon. And go Utes.
Go Utes.
Go Utes,
Happy
baby.
2024. Year of
Happy
the
New
Ute.
Year, man.